forget that. But why don't I take one more question? Go ahead.
Yeah, I had actually two unrelated questions.
Okay, I'll see if I can.
Your choice, whichever.
All right.
But the first is if you could describe a little bit what you learned when you were in Africa, or what you brought back. And the second question was, you could tell us what your civil rights law practice is like.
Okay. As far as Africa, as I said, the entire book ends in Africa. It was an interesting process for me because my personal journey to discover very directly who my family was, I think, mirrors a more abstract sense of a lot of African Americans that they need to go back and reclaim their roots. And a further parallel exists because in the same way that I think I had looked at my father as sort of an idealized image, so does the African American community, I think, tend to idealize Africa, look at it through rose-tinted glasses, if it thinks about it at all. Now, part of that is counteracting years of feeling ashamed about Africa. So going back, I think, for me, was to embrace at least a partial truth about Africa, which is that there's good in Africa and there's bad in Africa, there's great joy and much to be learned from Africa, but that there's also much to be discarded about certain African traditions. A very specific example is the sexism that exists in Africa, which I think debilitates the country. So, I think that's more than anything what I brought back, until you get to sort of a more mystical plane where, I mean, it is true that when you're on the Serengeti and you're looking out across the expanse, time feels different, and you bring back something, I think, that is different and stays in you. But I know, for example, I took my wife back, and as I said, she grew up in the south side of Chicago, and what she realized was that she was an American. I think very profoundly she realizes. Now she's a very beautiful, regal, African-looking, brown-skinned sister, and she goes there, and we go up to my grandmother's village, and first of all, she's riding in matatus, these little jitneys that are bumping along the road, and there are chickens on her laps, and she's, what was that game when we were kids, right? And you put your twist, right? That's how it feels. And so we get up there, and my little cousins, they all start pointing at her and saying, "Look, the Wazungu," which means the white lady. Now, for a girl from the south side of Chicago, whose complexion is about like this young lady's right here, that's sort of a stunning, welcome. But beyond the superficial things, I think what you realize when you go back is that African Americans already partake of a hybrid culture. We are part of a hybrid culture, and we can't deny that. So in some ways, the more obvious biracial identity that I have to affirm, African Americans also have to affirm, and white Americans have to affirm, because they partake in a hybrid culture. I mean, the truth of the matter is that American culture at this point, what is truly American, is black culture to a large degree. Flip on the television set, look at Pulp Fiction. I mean, you can choose whatever examples you want, and it's had a profound influence on this entire nation, and it has to be affirmed. In terms of my civil rights practice, it's hard.